Unless it had Roger Lynn's name on it, it wasn't a true MPC.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Young Fizz, aka Mr. Dope Status on Instagram, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the Akai MPC X Se, which is the special edition. As you may know, I made a video a few days ago and I talked about the issue or problem with the unit. And I say the problem with the unit is the sound. And you can go back and watch that video, but I just want to kind of elaborate when I talk about the sound of the unit, right? Because when you think about the MPC and really do your research, you know that the MPC had a unique sound to it. Now, this is not nothing new. This has been a topic of discussion, but it's kind of just been in the back of people's heads and just not really resonated to the public yet.
With something like the MPC X, which, and we saw it in NAMM, and it is an amazing machine.
It's very cool.
Really is. And I think they've done a brilliant job incorporating the analog aspect of it, having CV on it, the MIDI clip stuff, the large touchscreen, which is the size of an iPad.
Yeah,
so you've got touchscreen in conjunction with tactile
controls.
I think it felt natural.
Yeah.
It sounded good. It was tight. It was fast. It was all the things that you would expect in an instrument.
It was the true evolution of the interface.
Absolutely. You're totally right.
And I'll give them that. They killed it on that.
Yeah.
But with the new release of the MPC X Se, it's starting to come to the forefront because I think the consumers are starting to understand the value that these machines once had is no longer there.
And I've got a pet peeve with MPCs just in general because a lot of people, they're like, oh, MPC this, MPC that. In my opinion, the last true MPC was the MPC 3000. Unless it had Roger Lynn's name on it, it wasn't a true MPC.
Right.
And some people will disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But I'm sorry, it's like growing up, with seeing Roger Lynn's name on the MPC 62 and the MPC 3000. Those were true machines. Yeah. Then they did, and I felt like they did cheap versions with the 2000, the 2000 XL. And granted, I'm sure a lot of the stuff was the same on it, but it was just from an aesthetic point of view, it was like, unless it's got his signature on it and he worked on it, it's not a real MPC.
And an important thing here, we need to remember that at this point in time, the goal was to get a cleaner and cleaner sounding sampler. You wanted what you put into it to sound exactly the same as when it was coming back out of it. So with the MPC 3000, it still has a decent punch and sounds really good, but I don't think it sounds as crunchy or punchy as the MPC 60. And this is because the MPC 3000 is 16-bit and the MPC 60 is 12-bit.
And don't let 16-bit fool you. You know, 16-bit will kick your ass. If you've got good converters on a 16-bit freaking machine, they crack.
But on the MPC 3000, you get a tilting screen, a really good delay, a filter, an envelope for that filter, and a few other things like more banks for sounds and a couple other things I might have forgot. After that, after the 3K, you have the MPC 2000 and the 2000 XL, which gets even cleaner in audio with more features. So when the sound is getting cleaner, it's in a way to some people losing its character. It's losing that texture and sound that it has by default that a lot of people associate with older samplers. And for a time, as the MPCs got newer with more features, they also got smaller and smaller, but with less characteristic to their sound.
So as you just heard from those clips, it's not something new. For $2,500 for a workflow, there's a lot of different options that you can use for the workflow. You have programs such as Ableton, Logic, Native Instruments Machine. You have Studio One. You have Pro Tools. There's so many different options for workflows. I mean, think about it for a second. Why do you think the top engineers in the world are still using outboard gear and running their track outs through, SSL boards and Neve boards and everything like that? I'm not trying to be the producer that comes to the studio that looks the best with the latest gear. I'm trying to be the producer in the studio that sounds the best, because that's what I believe that's going to get me further. So I just remain a student in the game and just try to get better. And I think that's what we're all trying to do, is just get better at our craft, whether we use an MPC, a machine, Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, Reason. Like, it doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, what does matter is the sound. And the people that know about me, they know I've always been about the sound quality. I always talk about sound and the way things sound. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good. As a matter of fact, I can remember the first time I bought the inbox and I took it home, I plugged it in and I started recording. It doesn't sound good at all. Like it didn't really sound good. So I went back to the guy and I told the guy, like, this box doesn't sound good. And he said, oh, my brother, you're gonna need something that's gonna kind of beef up the sound. And so that's when he introduced me to analog gear. And one of the first pieces of my analog gear to my studio was this box that I still use today for to record vocals, because it has a tube in it. You switch out the tubes and it sounds pretty good. There's a lot of great equipment out there that's not top of the line analog equipment that still sounds good, that's going to give you a little bit advantage over the plugins. I mean, that's why you have engineers today that still prefer to use, like, they have a hybrid system. They love the workflow of Pro Tools, but they understand that the sound is important. And I think producers of today should understand that recording starts with the source. Sound is important in production. So that's what I'm saying with companies like Akai. I think it's important for them to focus on the internal electrical components of their drum machines. And there's one last thing that I want to mention about the companies. A lot of times, Akai, they design sounds. Sometimes I believe what Akai is doing, I think they're more focusing on their sound packs and making sure their sounds sound so good that when you load them up inside the MPC, it's going to naturally sound good because they're already analog processed. They've already been processed to the point where they already sound good from the jump. And while the sounds may sound good coming from a device that is known for its sound, it doesn't sound all that great. So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, I do want to know your guys' thoughts. Please leave a comment down below and let me know how we could push the audio industry forward. It's your boy Young Fizz. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. We out.